No.
I'm not weird at all.
No, you're not.
This podcast, this episode will be so fucking convoluted because it's literally we have no overlapping movies, so we're just gonna be like, I just want to say I like Loving well, let's introduce the films.
Loving Vincent and Orient Express.
I want to talk more about the Orient Express because it was the shittier film.
Yeah.
And it's always more fun to talk about shittier films, but I do want to emphasize how good Loving Vincent was as well. But yeah, you can go and introduce your film too. What did you
just start talking?
Me?
Yeah.
But what films did you watch? You didn't watch any.
No, I've seen a couple in the last, but they're not like
Big
cinema
ones.
movies
Yeah.
now. Like
Yeah, I knew after Thor, you went back and watched Baby Driver again.
Yeah.
Because you had test on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I watched Loving Vincent, which is... I can't remember the specifics of it. Like, I don't know. They were... At the very beginning, they came out and it was like this many artists painted this many frames. I do know it took 4 years to create it. And as the name suggests, it talks about Vincent Van Gogh. We call it Van Gogh, but it's got Van Gogh.
Yeah.
And his death. And the story is, it's very good. It's quite tragic. That's maybe poignant is like the better way to kind of paint the picture. But long story short, like the film itself, it's like filmed and then people have painted each.
They painted it over.
They painted over each scene with oil and I think oil mainly, and acrylic, in kind of like a Vincent Van Gogh style.
Yeah.
And so the film actually goes through it starts a year after his death, where his landlord's cleaning out his room, finds a letter that's directed to his brother Theo. And Vincent apparently had sent a lot of letters to Theo over his last few years of his existence. Life, yeah. And he was good friends with the mailman. And the mailman gets his letter and he sends it to his son, and he's like to his son, can you go to Paris? I think he was based in Paris, London. They were in London. I think he went to Paris though. I was really bad with the locations because like it's hard to differentiate things when the background's very painted.
Yeah.
The characters were very like crisp and like you could obviously, but like the background, it was very hard to tell. And he goes to Paris. He goes to the last place Vincent was living. And he pretty much like, they show through like a series of flashbacks, what his life was like, what he was like, how he died. They did show the scene why he cut off his ear. It was the very beginning of the film is a bit like, I don't know how to describe it. You know, it was a bit funny. Like I couldn't quite get into like grasp certain things because I was still, my eyes were still like, oh my God, everything's so like bizarre. Like everything's painted.
Yeah.
And some scenes are like fully painted and you just see scene. And then others are like a background and then you just see that little like whatever figure being moved. And so someone's painting obviously over certain sections to kind of mimic that movement. It's really cool, but it's like, especially with the colors, I was a little like, wait, what's going on? Like what? But no, once he kind of gets rolling and like once they kind of show like, because the flashbacks are all in black and white, it gets a lot better. And it's a very sad film. I really loved it. I really don't want to ruin... I mean, everyone knows he dies.
Yeah.
And the idea behind it is he goes to Paris to this place that Vincent was living in during his last few... And apparently he had sent a letter detailing the fact that he was very happy there, he was very content, everything was okay. And then, so he's kind of the son, I can't remember his name, this is really bad. He's like, I don't understand how he can go from really happy to suicide literally within 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You know? And he's getting suspicious and he's questioning all these people. He's waiting for this doctor who treated Vincent because Vincent admitted himself into this doctor's house to help him because he had spent pretty much his whole life in a bit of mental disarray. Like, you know, Vincent Van Gogh like was not known for his mental stability, you know? And he's waiting for this doctor. As he's waiting for the doctor, he talks to the lady who owns the hotel Vincent was staying in and where Vincent died.
Yeah.
And she tells him he was very happy and that the doctor was very... The doctor was maybe responsible. And then he goes to the doctor's house and their maid was like, no, Vincent was crazy. He was, like, mental. He was not well at all. It was, like, we tried our best, but we could not help him. I hope that he like, she kind of was like, he deserves to die. And then they have the doctor's daughter who was close. There's just all these stories and they're not quite lining up with each other. But, like, pretty much at the end of it, like, and he's thinking to himself, someone's killed Vincent, because the story that he told people was that he was out in the field and he tried to shoot himself and he shot himself in the gut. Like, or some people say the chest, but in the film it was, like, the stomach. And comes back and he's in bed and he's bleeding and the doctor comes to see him and the doctor just kind of goes, I can't. Leaves, and then Theo comes to see him and Vincent dies, like, a day later. And he's thinking, well, why would he, if he's committing suicide, why would he shoot himself in the gut? Like, why would you do this? Why would you do that? And at one moment, I was, like, thinking, oh, my God, what happens if it actually is a murder? What? Oh, my God. Is this, like, what's that show called? Making a Murder? But, like, Vincent Van Gogh. But there's this one scene where he sits down in the field. This was, like, after everything. And he's talking with the doctor's daughter. And she kind of confessed, and she's like, you know, because she initially was saying, oh, I'm not close with him. I'm not good friends with him. We didn't really talk. And then all of a sudden it was like, you know what? No, we were good friends. You know, he was ill. Like, that's the thing. He was ill. You know, he was happy, but he was ill. And I had really nothing to do with his death. Because they were saying, oh, Vincent and the doctor had an argument, and that's literally the day after, that's when he shot himself. It's the doctor's fault, blah, blah, blah. Or it was the girl's fault. And she's like, it wasn't my fault. You have to talk to my father about it. But it wasn't my fault. And she says this line, and it's, you care so much about his death, but you're not looking at his life. I think it was something along those lines. And I was like, oh my God, no, you can't say that. What the hell? I got really emotional too. I was like, oh. So we went, the final scene, the final big climax, like, which is kind of like, you know, the moment where you find out who the murderer is, or kind of that idea, is he goes and sits down with the doctor. And he pretty much goes, what happened? Why? Do you know why he's dead? People are saying you're responsible because you had an argument. And the doctor pretty much goes, I really respected, and the doctor himself, like, was like a huge, like, artist guy, like, he really liked art. And the doctor was like, I respected him as an artist, I respected him as a friend, as a patient, like, as someone who I could put my faith in. He was almost like an equal part of my family, because he was with us for so long. But we got into a fight about something, and he's like, he just confessed, and he's like, I said something to Vincent Van Gogh that probably triggered his suicide, which was the fact that Theo, his brother, now I don't know if his name is Theo either. Oh my gosh. Well, if it isn't, I'm really sorry. I just spent the whole podcast calling him, but I should just look it up. Hang on. I'm gonna look it up. Sorry.
That's fine.
Oh, that's not what the fuck. That's what I want. Why won't you just show me the cast? Oh, for fuck's sake. It's, like, not showing me any of the names. It's just showing me the people who played in it. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want. I want the actual, like, name of the people. It's gotten pretty good reviews, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's gotten, like, 80%, like 79%.
Yeah, I know it's been pretty well received. And I'm interested in seeing it if I get the chance, but yeah.
It is very good, yeah. Hang on. Yeah, it is Theo. Armand. Not Armand. I'm just going to call him the guy. Yeah, it is Theo. So, continuing onwards. Because Theo pretty much supported Vincent his whole life in terms of finances. So any pain, anything that he wanted, Theo would get for him. And the doctor pretty much said, because Theo had to support you, he hasn't been able to give him and his family the best life because he's wasting all his money on you. Okay. And that's what pretty much triggered. Like, there was this idea that one of the other boys who Vincent van Gogh was hanging around with that day, who was a bit, like, cheeky and a bit, like, you don't know if he was a bad or a good character, might have shot him, but it's never really confirmed. And all you really know is, as Vincent comes back, he says to the doctor's like, oh my God, what do we do? And Vincent's like, it's better this way. I will be happier this way. Like, he's obviously mentally not well, but he's like, I don't want to burden anyone anymore. And I don't want you to save me. I just want you to let me pass. And yeah, that's that. And you find out Theo also passes away like a few months later after his brother's death because he has syphilis. And that's it. And the film kind of ends on this letter because they deliver the letter to Theo's widow, and she writes back and she's pretty much said, I was really happy with your letter. I thought that you would like a copy of it as well because you never really get to see the letter. And on the letter pretty much just says, I'm happy. I don't remember the specifics. And at the end it says, you're Loving Vincent. And then that's how the film ends pretty much. It has a really good cast. It's really hard to distinguish them though because they're all painted and you're like, I think I know you. Who was it? What was his name? This really famous guy that maybe he was, I don't know. What's his name? Postman Rulin is played by Chris O'Dowd.
Oh, Chris O'Dowd.
Yeah,
the IT
he
crowd.
played. Yeah, and then Douglas
Bridesmaids.
Booth. Douglas Booth was the main guy.
Jerome Flynn
was the doctor.
That's Bronn from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And I've got a few people like Saoirse Ronan.
Oh, yeah. Nobody can pronounce her name. I don't
but
think.
she was in.
She's good.
She's in. All I remember is from the Grand Budapest Hotel.
She's in Hannah, isn't she? Or is that the same girl? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. She's in a few. Anyways, like, so it had a really good cast, and it was, I don't know, it was just a good film. It wasn't very long. It was only an hour and a half long. Honestly, I don't think I could have taken any more than an hour and a half.
Not necessary.
No, it wasn't. It was very just like to a point because you already knew he was dead. So there was no real point of, how did, like, is he alive? Is he dead? What's going on? It wasn't a mystery. It was just more of a,
yeah.
I don't know. It was
just a retelling of the sort of person he was.
Yeah, but it's I guess it was autobiography.
It's like a point of view of everybody who knew him rather than him.
Yeah. It was really sad though. Like, it was one of the films I came out and I was genuinely very sad for him because he was so, because back then, pardon me, mental illness wasn't like the same. Like, there wasn't a strong understanding of it. So people literally
they
just thought,
shut him away.
Yeah, people literally thought he was just insane, and I think he just needed help. And it talks about his childhood and how, like, his mum he had an older brother who passed away before him, and his mother could never look at Vincent ever again because she felt like he could never live up to her first son, or he could never replace her first son. Yeah. So he kind of, like they were saying, he kind of spent his whole life being second best and fighting to be good enough and never being good enough. It was heartbreaking to see. I don't know. Like, I think anyone who wants to see a really nice short film, like, it is a feature film, but it's not a long.
Quite short.
Yeah, it's not a long watch. It's not Star Wars, man, or Transformers.
It's not Blade Runner.
No, it's not a Blade Runner. Yeah, but I like short films. Any film, sometimes it's hard for me with long films because I'm just like, just end it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your other film.
My other film, Murder on the Orient Express. You know what?
How many times have they made Murder on the Orient Express?
I don't know.
They made it a whole lot
Really?
of times. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's
why?
just not the first time.
Really? I didn't know that. This is the first one I
There's
mean,
TV versions,
I'm pretty sure
like,
the TV version probably would have been better. Why not any of her other books? She's got ABC Murders. Like, that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
ABC Murders.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's Murder on the Orient Express, and for some reason it's very famous. Like,
I guess. Do you know what happens?
I can't. I'm sure I've seen it.
Okay, guys. Well, I'm about to ruin it. So if you don't want to know,
spoilers for a book that's decades old.
Yeah, but you know, Harry Potter. Like, people still get pissy when I spoil that. Yeah. Anyway, so the story. So I'm just trying to like compare.
The thing about it is, it's a very classical like murder mystery thing.
Yeah.
And
I love classic murder mysteries.
No, I mean, they're written a certain way.
Yeah.
Everything's just set up exactly so, and then it all
I love it.
Unravels in a certain way.
I love murder mysteries. I love it when all of the strings just come together. It's like, and the more complex the murder, the better it is. The more unexplainable something is, the more I'm like, when I find out what it is, my mind will be so blown. You know why? I'm not sure if you've ever played like Professor Layton. No, not Professor Layton. Yeah, well, Professor Layton is one of them, but Ace Attorney. And you're a lawyer, and you pretty much solve mysteries and murders, and you always solve murders. And there's this, like, they get really complex. Like, there was one where it was like, to solve this murder, you had to open up a case that was 20 years old because, like, a victim from that case was being blackmailed into, like, it's insane. And
that's funny. I don't know what it is, because it always seems like stuff like Murder on the Orient Express is like fantasy.
Well, that's
because they're never police that sort them out.
Yeah.
Like, it's always somebody who's just smart.
So what happens is, like, Poirot is on this train. There's a few people. There's like Michelle Pfeiffer, there, who's like this old kind of cougar. I really don't know how else to describe her as cougar. There's a
no, there's Johnny Depp. There's
Johnny Depp, who's like this shady salesman. There's
Judi Dench,
who's this like really posh countess, duchess lady.
There's Rey from Star Wars. I can't remember her name. Daisy Ridley. That's it. I know the cast of this movie.
Daisy Ridley. Who does she play?
She's one of the younger ones. I don't know.
Fuck. I don't know who she plays. I know there's Penelope Cruz, who plays the missionary. Like, she's like a nun figure. There's like this Oh, I know who Daisy plays. There's this lady, Daisy, and then because of the time it's set, like she's like in love with this black guy.
Oh, and it's a controversy.
Yeah, it's like controversial, and they're on this train together, and the black guy's a doctor. So it's a doctor. There's this couple, like there's one guy who's really violent, and there's this one girl who's like really, really like she's like mentally not right. She's always constantly on drugs. Like, when I say drugs, I mean like, you know, clear liquid, not like pills. Like she like drinks some alcoholic stuff. I don't know. Oh my god, who else is there? There's Poirot.
It's got a fairly big cast.
It's got a lot of.
And it's directed by Kenneth Branagh, who is Poirot.
Yeah, for Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yeah, exactly.
I said that to Kenji.
So the thing is, like,
and Kenji's like, no, and I'm like, no, that's Poirot.
Yeah, classic literature sort of adaptations are kind of his thing.
Yeah,
he did Frankenstein, which I don't think was very good, but he did. What's the Shakespeare play? He's done Hamlet, which is really good.
Ooh. Hamlet's such a really dark film,
but it's like I think his version of Hamlet's like a 3-hour-long movie.
Oh, dude, Hamlet's
but
like
it's very good.
Hamlet's like fucked up. I'm just like, oh my god.
The production value in his film for that is really good. It's probably the best.
Oh. Anyways, so what happens is Poirot is just like trying to get to where he's getting to. He honestly doesn't want to do any more crimes.
Yeah,
he's on this train. He's like,
it's pulled back in.
Yeah, like legit
by a murder.
But yeah, so he's on this train, and Johnny Depp comes up to him. I'm gonna call all the characters by their actual like,
because who cares?
Yeah, like sorry, Saz. And he's like, I have some bad, like, because of my history, I have some bad people after me. Because you're so good at, like, because Poirot's whole thing is that he can see every imperfect. He's like a Sherlock Holmes character. I don't know who came first, Poirot or Sherlock Holmes. I'm
going to assume Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm probably Sherlock Holmes.
I don't know that much about them.
But, like, but he can, like, the first scene is literally him not being able to have his breakfast because the 2 eggs he had given aren't the same shape or size. So his idea is like,
It's
can't...
like OCD.
Yeah, he's like, I can't unsee things. I can see everything, and that is like, there's like the scene in Sherlock Holmes where he's like, oh, what can you see? And he's like, everything, and that is my curse. Like, same idea there. So, Johnny Depp's like, can you look out, like, just look over my back? Oh yeah, and there's also Johnny Depp's like henchman, like guy who helps him, and like butler guy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, what's happening? Yeah, so Johnny Depp's like, can you like look over my back, make sure I don't get killed because I've been getting threatening messages. Blah blah blah. Long story short, he gets killed. Johnny Depp gets killed very early. He's stabbed like 12 times.
That's all they could pay him for.
Yeah, legit. That and a mold of his body, you know. And Poirot goes, what the fuck's going on? And so Michelle Pfeiffer's next to him, and there's a scene where like as the murder's technically taking place, Poirot like looks out because he can hear a thump in the hall, and just as he opens the door, you see someone in like a red kimono running through the corridor, and like it gets very complicated in the sense that this is
you
where
don't have to explain the plot. Because,
yeah.
I mean, people probably know it.
Long story short, like everyone has a story of what happened that night. Michelle Pfeiffer's saying, "Oh, there was someone in my room. There's a uniform missing."
And then at the end, he gathers them all in one area, and then he explains everything that happened, and then he goes, "And you're the killer."
But wait, because me and Kenji had this bet. I was like, I'm gonna be able to guess who the fuck it is in the first 2 seconds. Like, it's gonna be because. I already watched 10 minutes into the film, and I was like, oh, this film is like fucking trash, you know. It is just. I am the best detective in the world, can I just say? Like, I should literally be because almost like we watched. Sorry, side note. I know this podcast is just me talking a lot.
Yeah.
But we were watching this show about this guy who it's this anime show. This guy can go back in time, and he has this special skill where, let's say he's driving along. He's like the first scene is him driving along, and all of a sudden he warps back in time, and he realizes something's going to go wrong. He turns around and sees that a truck driver has had a heart attack and has passed out at the wheel, and he's about to hit like an old lady. So he actually goes and stops the truck. And that's his skill. So whenever something's not quite right or he can prevent something, he goes back in time. So pretty much in his like primary school, these 2 girls were killed, like assaulted and killed. And his mum kind of realizes during like 20 years later that something like that has happened, like, and who the killer was, because she sees him in like just the public. And next thing you know, she gets stabbed and killed. And then this guy all of a sudden just travels like 20 years back into his past. And he's like a little kid again. And Kenji's like, oh my God, I bet you're never going to guess who the killer is. Like, it's so good. Blah, blah. And like, not to ruin this for anyone, I really can't remember what the show is called. Teacher walks into the front of the room, and I'm like, that's fucking him. It has to be him. And Kenji's like, no, it's not. Guess who it was? It was the fucking teacher. And I'm like, it would be, who else would it be? And they would try to throw you off because like the girl's mum was abusive. Like one of the girls who was killed, like her mum was abusive and all that. And you think, oh, maybe it was her. And there were moments where I was like, there were moments where I like diverged a little, but I'm like, no, you know what? I'm still like, it is still an 80% chance it is him, because I said to Kenji, I'm like, it had to be a person of authority figure, someone that the girl obviously trusted, and it had to be someone who was aware that this girl was like in trouble and could somehow manage the situation so that he ended up alone with her. And Kenji's like, he's like, what the fuck? Just what the fuck? And I'm like, yes, like it's so clearly obvious. It's like as obvious as day that he's the killer. Anyways, back to the story.
So
back
did
to
you
the film.
pick the killer in the Orient Express?
Well, I said Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
And Kenji was like, I don't know. I was saying I'm pretty sure it's Michelle Pfeiffer. It could be Judi Dench's like handmade person, because like, you know, it's like she was a bit too quiet, but Michelle Pfeiffer was like the real pusher for a lot of the things that happened. Like, and so and the thing is, he interviewed everyone. So everyone had the story.
Yep.
And the one that came out was this the Armstrong case, which is where the Armstrong family had a little girl called Daisy, who was a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
Daisy was kidnapped, and they didn't know what to do, so they paid the ransom to the killer.
Mm-hmm.
The killer's name was Cassetti, and the killer still killed Daisy. And that news sent Armstrong's wife into premature labor. Like, she was pregnant with their second child, and she pretty much died because of that. And then he shot himself because he was like, what the fuck? It turns out Johnny Depp's character was Cassetti.
Okay.
So that's why he was killed. And so Poirot's trying to find out who could possibly have the motive to do it. And then it turns out that everyone, literally, like, what are the chances? Everyone on the train had, like, a background connection, whether it be like the mum or the sister, godmother, boyfriend, like, of and because another lady was incorrectly accused, would it be the boyfriend of the incorrectly accused or the son of the policeman who did the investigation? Like, everyone was somehow connected and was somehow a victim of that one case. So towards the end, like, Poirot's like freaking out. He's like, I can't solve this. I don't fucking know. Everyone's connected, and then all this stuff's happening, and this thing doesn't make sense, and how is this possible if that's not possible? So he, like, sits them all. So at the final scene, like, someone tries to, the doctor tries to shoot him, and he's like, it was me who did it. And Poirot's like, that's not right. That doesn't make any sense, because I don't remember, there was like some fact didn't match up with this and this and this. And oh no, he was like, if you wanted to kill me and you were a killer, you would have shot me through the chest instead of through the arm, because that's what the doctor did. And he's like, you're a doctor, you don't kill. So he lines them all up, and he's going through everything, and he's like, it was all of you.
Okay.
And I was like, what? Michelle Pfeiffer, to be fair, was like the one who instigated it all. She was the one who she was like, I brought them all together. I did this, because Michelle Pfeiffer was the mother of the daughter the pregnant girl who passed away. And she's like, who, ironically enough, her name in the film was Linda as well. It was so weird. And she's like, I'm the one who instigated it. And then Poirot kind of had this dilemma where he was like, do I tell the police the truth and kind of fuck up these people's lives even more? Or do I just simply, like, accept the imperfections that I can see? It gets weird. And then Michelle has, like, this really emotional scene, and in the end, he ultimately was like, I'm not going to give you guys up. I'm just going to lie and say that there was a lone assassin, and then he jumped off the train afterwards, and we can't find him, and that's that. So that's overall what happens. Look, a lot of people really hated the film. Really hated it. Like, oh, this is the worst. Like, I had a few friends who came over and was like, oh, that was the shittiest film I ever watched. Look, it's not the worst. I'm going to be frank with you. Like, I think because we've had just way worse films in our lives, that this just is like just a little bit below average. The real big issue I had with this film is that I'm really into crimes, like crime mysteries, crime docos. I like, it freaks me out because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get killed. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to know who the killer is. And like I said, the more extravagant the crime, the more detailed, like the more convoluted or unexplainable it is, the more I'm like, yes, yes.
To me, it depends on what that means. Like, because convoluted's convoluted, but is it convoluted in an interesting way? Like, where it's still believable.
Yeah.
Like Murder on the Orient Express is also set up and easy and silly.
I think the book probably, I haven't read the book.
The book's probably better, but I can't be bothered reading that either, because I don't really care about Poirot or any of that, like, sort of thing.
The hardest thing too was Poirot's accent was so hard to understand. And like, look, I've never really heard of French. He's French, I think. I've never heard of French accent.
No, he's not. I feel like he's
European.
From Belgium.
Okay, well, I've never heard that type of accent, so I personally could not compare, like, with the Irish accent and stuff. Like, I knew what an Irish accent sounded like, and Pierce Brosnan did not sound like that. But overall, like, the thing that bothered me the most was that the overall theme was very, like, kind of cute.
It's only just to it's just a quick story sort of thing. That's it. Like, there's nothing more to it. It just doesn't ask any big questions of you. It's just like, oh, here we go. We found out the killer.
Not even that. It was just like, it was trying to be really, like, it was a very beautifully shot film. Very beautiful scenes. Like, but I'm like, I wanted dark, cold, and terrifying. I wanted to be on my seat.
That's just not the style of those
I
sorts
know.
of novels.
No, but like, I wanted... You know, I like the whole idea, like, you know, when they're all sitting in the room in the dark next to the fireplace and, like, someone gets killed in the room. I don't know. I'm making shit up now, but...
Like, the sort of thing, because when people say, like, crime films, like, I don't think of Poirot or Sherlock Holmes even. Like, because they're not the same thing.
Oh, no, I like Sherlock Holmes, and I think Sherlock Holmes... I like that style,
Sherlock
too.
Holmes, to me, he's like a superhero. He may as well be.
But
like,
I just wanted more, like, grit, I guess. I wanted... more than it was just so like, PG.
It's a murder mystery. It's not the same as a thriller.
I know, but like it just wasn't very mysterious for me. No. You know, like it wasn't like and like the characters weren't especially like. I think they were trying to make them all really.
Well, when I think
different,
I think of like crime thriller, I think of like Seven or
Seven's
Zodiac.
not very good, I don't think.
No, Seven's great.
What, Netflix TV show?
No.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking of something else then.
David Fincher film from the 90s with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. About a guy who's killing people based on the 7 deadly sins.
Oh, I know about that.
It's a good movie.
Shit. Yeah,
and Zodiac is another David Fincher film which he did with Robert Downey Jr.
About the Zodiac
and
killer.
and it's really good. And it's based on a true story.
I know.
But it's...
Oh, dude, I watched this. It's not a film. It's more of a documentary about the cannibal killer. It's like so fucking scary. This guy is like if you were just like talking to him, you would think he was just a regular person.
Yeah.
And you
but
just
that's the whole thing as well. Like, there's none of that. There's no realistic. It doesn't feel real when you're watching it. Like stuff like Murder on Orient Express or even Sherlock Holmes or anything like that. There's nothing.
Oh, like look, I feel like look, it's not about the realness as well.
No, they work in their own world, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it just wasn't a very compelling watch. Like I wanted a bit more like action, I guess. Like I know you said it's not a thriller, and I'm like I understand that, but it was a very like it was like eating porridge.
Yeah,
the whole film.
It's
I was
like a play almost. Like it's just
no,
it's
but
just
like I actually would enjoy
literary.
a play. It just look. I don't know how to describe it.
It's just it's dated, basically.
No, it's not.
It is.
You haven't seen it.
No, but I've seen plenty of like Agatha Christie stuff, and I can say that I think it's dated.
Look, I enjoy Agatha Christie though, because like, I think she's like her mysteries are very good, and they're like a very strong foundation of what we call like mystery.
But I'm saying that they
today.
were really relevant decades ago.
I know,
like
but
people had never read something like. Now it's like
no, but like I can watch an old film and still enjoy it.
Yeah, but it just depends on the film, like, and what it says. Like, they're not all murder mysteries; they're all different.
I know,
things.
but I feel like they could have done it better. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like I know you're trying to say,
I just don't know how much better you can make it.
I'm pretty sure you could have made it
like
better.
when everybody's the killer, it's like okay.
Well, that's also one of the other things. I'm like, that's such a fucking cop out.
It is,
but that's the book.
I bet that's in the book.
That's
exactly.
in the book.
That's what I mean. Like,
but I think
back then that might have been.
You know what? I think if they hadn't have revealed each person's background just as openly as they did, then it would have been more like, oh, like at the end when he was.
But then
like,
wouldn't it just be, well, why?
What do you mean?
Well, you don't know anything about them. Why the fuck would you?
Well, that's the thing. If he had revealed it at the very end when they're all sitting around,
then it just seems like they're just pulling shit out. Oh, we've got to give them a reason, right in at the end.
Yeah, but they're still like it's just I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's not plausible. Everybody gets on the Orient Express to go after one guy, and it just so happens Poirot's there at the same time.
Yeah, but I want to see like what they normally like do in crime films where it's like. Some shit's going on. Oh, I wanted more details into like the actual detective part, maybe, because like of him investigating and being like, oh, what's this? Looking at like because we only see one scene with the body. It's not even a close up, and it's just very PG, I guess. Like,
is it because most of this stuff is just explained in dialogue?
Yeah. That's like
so
I think
visual
that's what
filmmaking?
it is. Yeah. So there's a lot of expository. There's so much expository. There's so much flashbacks.
That's why I'm saying it's like a play. They all just talk to each other about what's so mysterious.
I like plays too.
No, but like plays work on the stage when you're watching them on the stage, and like sometimes an adaptation can work on screen. but not all the time.
Either way, like, it just, there wasn't, like, I think
it's
that's
like
what
a one-location movie, right? They're on the train.
I know, but yeah, you know, I enjoy the detective side of it. I enjoy there wasn't a lot of, because Sherlock Holmes is all about him picking out those little clues, you know? There wasn't a lot of that. There was just a lot of interviewing, asking some questions, and then people getting pissy and huffing off, or, like, that's just it. Like, that's
the movie.
That's the movie. So I can't say it's horrible, because, like, people acted well in it and all that, but, yeah. I would not pay money to go see it again, and it was what I expected, because I had very low expectations for this film. I mentioned it at work that I was going to go see it, and people were like, why would you go see that after seeing Loving Vincent? Because a lot of people I knew wanted to see that. Yeah. And I said, oh, look, I like Agatha Christie. It's funny because I did start reading one of her books, and I just never got to, I borrowed it from the library, and it was my final year of high school, and I just never got around to, I like read it halfway, and I never got around to finishing it, because like my library card, it was due back, and I had, you know, final year stuff to worry about, and I just never got to finish it. But I like Agatha Christie, and I do think she's like one of the OG mystery writers.
Yeah,
but this film was just not very good. You know, I would have made a modern adaptation of it. Like, that's what I would have done. Or I would have flipped it and possibly have done it from the view of the killers and how they planned everything, and they were like, I don't know. It's like, because it's such a classic, and it's such a, like I said, like there's been so many adaptations already, and I know it's like that means you should do something different with it. But to me, it just says don't do it again. Why? Yeah, well, they've done Alice in Wonderland so many times. Yeah, I know, and the last couple were shite. Yeah. You know, what was it? I read on Tumblr, and it was like, can I just say that for this lifetime, we've had enough Alice in Wonderland, like, adaptations. We've had enough Spider-Man. We've done enough Spider-Man. Had enough superheroes, probably, generally, I think. I can't be bothered with them anymore, to be honest. It's like, you know, I think if I'd seen Thor about 5-6 years ago, Ragnarok, I would have loved it. Yeah. But now I'm like, okay. It's the same. This is also a Marvel movie. Yeah. Like the thing that you reposted on our Instagram. How many more of these? It's like, how many more of these? Did you see the other one I posted? I did. Where it's like, when you want the disaster artist, but you have... Speaking of which, I'm seeing that next week. Are we? Oh, because you're going to go see... Special screening. Fuck you. I want to go see it specially too. Where's my special screening ticket? Yeah. Greg Sestero will be doing, like, I think half an hour before the film, talking about being on the set of the original Rune movie. I want to go. Anyway, how long? We've done 37 minutes. That's pretty good. Just 37 minutes of me talking. Yeah. Who's going to want to listen to that? Don't know. Anyway. So, I will say, like, we don't talk about movies that aren't recent much. We have some we reference things, but we don't really talk much about other, because I mean, we don't do enough shows to really need that, get in deep with a lot of older movies. Or I love my old school movies, guys. I love my black and white. I'm not talking about old school movies, and I'm just talking about, like, maybe past couple of years. Oh, okay. I'm talking about, like, old, like, black and white. No. You're talking like 40s, 50s. Or earlier. But I was just sort of talking about, like, a couple of films that I think were, like, not seen as much. I think generally were well received. But that I saw one of them recently, and I saw another one of them ages ago, and saw it again recently. So one of them's called Nocturnal Animals. And I don't know if you've heard of it. I think so. So it's directed by and written by Tom Ford, who I think used to be involved in the fashion industry. Like Tom Ford, the fashion brand Tom Ford? Oh, okay. Yeah. He also directed another film called A Single Man, with starring, what's his name? Colin Firth. Ah, what? Colin Firth as, I believe, a closeted gay man. Oh my god, I would watch the shit out of that. It's supposed to be really good. I haven't seen it. It's good. Him and Julianne Moore, oddly enough. Oh. Kingsman too. Yeah. But Nocturnal Animals is more of a thriller. And it's Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal, basically. And it's an unusual sort of movie because
it's about a woman who's like an artist she's like incredibly wealthy, quite successful in her field, but sort of unsatisfied. And she's married to Armie Hammer, and he's just kind of like reasonably pretty successful businessman going to meetings all the time. The story's really about her previous relationship with her ex, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Because it's like, it starts off in her latest exhibit, which is obviously all to do with the human body, because the opening of the film is really odd, because it's basically just very overweight middle-aged women who are naked dancing in slow motion, and you're like, okay, for like a little while, and then you realise it's like on the screens of the gallery, and then it opens up and there's like other pieces, like, and she's kind of sitting it, and then it's over and she leaves, and then she's like, and everybody's like, oh, such a great achievement, that sort of stuff, and she's like, okay, like,
cute.
And it's stuff like, she goes to parties with her current husband, and it's like, there's clearly problems that they're not talking about. They're very surface level with each other. And like, he goes to a meeting in New York and she's talking to him on the phone, and he's with a woman as he's talking, like going to a hotel room.
Okay.
And then I think somebody says like, in the lift, the guy who's in the lift, it's obviously a very like posh hotel, goes, your floor, madame, or something like that, and she hears it, and she's like, but she doesn't say anything, keeps going. But around about the same time, she's sent a manuscript for her ex's book, which is coming out, called Nocturnal Animals. Nocturnal Animal is what he used to call her, because she never used to sleep when they were together. And
this person sounds like me.
But it's sort of like how it's more to do with their relationship, but the film plays out of the story in the novel, the manuscript. Yeah. Because he was like a struggling writer when they were together. I think married.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I can't quite remember.
They're just together when they were
together. They're together, it doesn't matter. And it's sort of like, she was fairly well-to-do back in their hometown. Like, they met again in New York after, I think, and then they sort of got together and whatever. And her mother was like, oh, you can't go out with him. He's not
rich.
It's not, that wasn't a reason. It's like, he's not strong. He's not, like, he's too weak. He's too much like this. Like, he's not soft. He's too soft, that sort of stuff. He can't do things for you like this. He's got these pipe dream sort of things. She goes, and you'll understand what I mean soon, sort of thing. And then she's like, no, it's not like that. And eventually it sort of turns that way. Okay. Because she doesn't like anything he writes. She's like, always like, like, never entirely saying, oh, it's shit, but it's always like lukewarm response, like, oh, yeah. And then he starts to pick up on it, and he's like, yeah, you don't really like this. You don't like this, do you? And their whole relationship goes down the shitter, and it's like, it's clever because it's like, if you really think about it, it's a revenge movie, but in a very specific way. Like, not in a violent way or anything like that. It's just
shady. It's just shady.
Yeah, it's just, he kind of head fucks her with the book, basically. Oh. So she's reading it, and it's playing out this story, and he's in the book, not as himself. It's Jake Gyllenhaal playing the role of this character in the book, who's traveling with his wife and daughter in a car, like in Texas, I think. Yeah. And then these guys, like joyriders, driving on the road and all that sort of shit. And then he kind of does something dumb and antagonizes them a bit, like he's kind of scared of them and that sort of shit. And then they run him off the road, kind of, and then just start, like, kind of picking on him. At first it's not too bad, and then it starts to get worse. The main guy there is played by Aaron Taylor-Johnson, who was Kick-Ass. Oh. And he's pretty good
Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging, that's what I know him from.
He's pretty good in it. I usually don't think he's that great, but he's really good in this.
He's a bit hit or miss, I feel.
He's got like a good Texan accent, and he really plays the character well. He's kind of crazy and weird.
He was Quicksilver.
Yeah, he's Quicksilver as well.
No, but not Quicksilver.
For 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he died.
Because he was expensive.
He was also in Godzilla, which sucked. But it's basically how and it sort of escalates to the point where they take his car, his daughter, and his wife, and then they take him somewhere else. Okay. And they're just like, no, it's fine, we're just going to fix the car up because, we scratched it, it's our fault, I think. I think that's how they phrase it. It's like, oh, but how are you going to pay for it? All that sort of shit, And then they just leave him in the middle of the desert. Oh. And then he walks back and he gets to some form of, like, somebody's house. He knocks on the door, and then he's picked up by cops and everything. And then Michael Shannon, who played Zod in Man of Steel, he's the sheriff, and he's, like, trying to find out what happened, and they're searching and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, he goes. They go, look, we found something.
Yeah.
And they bring him along, and it's his wife and daughter's naked bodies dead on a couch in the middle of the desert. And it's basically about how it gets to the point where it's like he finds out the sheriff's got like a late stage cancer or something like that. He's going to die and all sort of stuff. So he's like, I'm pretty much prepared to do anything to fuck these guys.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. If we find them and all that sort of stuff. And it's about, they basically start hunting him down, but he's really, like his character sort of in real life, he's kind of weak. He can't face it almost.
Okay.
And it's like, and it's weird because it's the first piece of writing that he's written that she likes. Oh. And because of that, it's like she starts to like him again, almost. Oh. Like she likes this character. It's like she likes his character because he becomes more dangerous as the thing goes on, and eventually, like, to the point
where she associates him
with the character sort of thing. Like, it's never stated in dialogue or anything. It's just you start to see it play out, and she's getting more and more distant with her husband and everything like that. And then I think she has more talks with her mother or something like that. And then eventually it's like, they're messaging, they're texting. I don't think they ever have like phone conversation. Yeah. It's just texting. She's like, I like the book, and he's like, we should meet. That sort of stuff. Ooh. And she's like, she's like clearly excited and that sort of stuff. And this is like the end of the film as well, so spoilers. Yeah. She puts on a very nice dress, all that sort of stuff, gets herself all things. It's obviously a very expensive restaurant, all that sort of stuff. She sits down, she waits all night, he doesn't turn up. And the credits roll. And that's the whole movie.
Oh my God. I love that. Sorry. That's so good. What?
It's basically just like, I'm going to make you want me again. And then you can't have me.
Scandalous.
But it's pretty good, the way it's done.
I would want to watch that. Damn. You know what, Red? I can't even, like... I've been wanting to watch all these films, and I'm just like... As soon as I get to it, I'm like... I'm like, I could watch it and get really... Because I get exhausted from watching films like that. Or I could watch Rick and Morty, and then I watch Rick and Morty because it's like nonsense. But that does sound really good. I should watch that.
Yeah, it was kind of unexpected because I'd heard about it, and it's like I think it split a few audiences because they get taken out of it by the fact that nothing that happens in the novel is real.
I like that.
It has a lot of consequence within the novel, but then it's got the consequence, the wider consequence in the story. But it's a good movie and it's well done.
That's really good. I'd watch that.
It's very nicely shot, like in an interesting sort of dark way. I can't believe
Tom Ford made a film and it was good.
He's made 2 films that are supposed to be good.
Yeah, what the fuck, Tom Ford? What can't you do?
Yeah, so there was that, and I've watched that recently. I didn't get to see it when it came out because it wasn't showing a lot here. Because it was that sort of film. It's not a big...
Yeah.
It's got some stars in it, but no big draw. I have to say, though, I don't think Amy Adams has like made a misstep as far as her career's gone for a while. She's not bad in anything.
I mean...
Man of Steel, maybe, but...
yeah, I was like, she's in the Superman franchise.
She's in those. But everything else she's in, she's good in. I'm like,
no, she was in that freaking film where she was Giselle. It's like, oh my God.
It must be so forgettable that I can't even remember it.
Hang on, let me look her up. This is one of like her first big like breakout films, I feel. Oh, not... Almost clicked someone else. Enchanted.
Oh, yeah. That was a big success, though.
Shit.
It was shit, was it? Okay, I haven't seen it. I know of that movie.
There's Nocturnal Emissions right here.
But yeah, so that was one film I took a look at recently. And then the other film I just wanted to mention, it's a film that came out, I think, 2 years ago, called Bone Tomahawk.
Oh, I know this film.
Yeah?
But I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it. Okay, it's a Western.
Yeah.
I believe it came out around about the same time or near The Hateful Eight, and Kurt Russell's in both of them. And I think this is better than The Hateful Eight.
Yeah? You really like The Hateful Eight.
I did like The Hateful Eight. I enjoy most Tarantino movies. They're fun. But I think it's because this is very different. I think it's the first time filmmaker, director made it. It's... I don't know. It starts off like a horror movie. The opening scene is these 2 idiots, like, fucking... I can't remember exactly what they're doing, but they end up... I think they're running from... Yeah, they've just robbed a bunch of people and killed them, and they know that the horses are on their way to come and apprehend them. So they go off into this area that's other, and then they stumble across this weird thing of skulls and rocks and shit, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?"
It's like fuck.
And then they both get murdered by something.
Oh, okay.
Or someone.
Okay.
That's obviously not normal in the context of it's not a guy with a hat on and a gun. They get ripped apart basically, pretty violently as well.
Okay.
It's not all really shown, but you can tell it's pretty gruesome.
Graphic.
Yeah. And then that's all you see of them ever. They're never referenced again. It's just that's what you see, and then it goes to this town. I can't remember what it's called. I remember I laugh at it now because it's got kind of a name that's completely opposite to the rest of the film. It's called Haven or something. I can't remember. It's something like that. It's
Seven
really,
Heaven.
Yeah.
7-Eleven.
Yeah, but it's it's based around this town. Yeah, not a lot of people. It's it's 100 people in the town or something, and they have this whole thing of I think the local doctor or whatever, I think he's got a broken leg because he was trying to fix something on the roof and fell off, and then his wife's caring for him and whatever, and then Kurt Russell's the sheriff, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on. I can't remember who else, but basically a guy starts trouble at the bar. They put him in the jail, in the sheriff's cell thing, and he's got an injury of some kind. So I can't quite remember the start of the film, exactly the chain of events that leads to us to what happens, because it's not as important as the rest of the film. It's just the setup. So they put him there, and then they leave him there with the girl, the doctor girl, and she's cleaning up his leg, I think, because he gets shot by Kurt Russell at the start to disarm him, and so they're doing that, and then it sort of overnight. There's a scene where I think the boy who manages the stables goes in and he gets killed by somebody. Something gets shoved through the back of his head.
Oh.
And he dies, and I think some of the horses are killed. And then
horses.
And then they go into the next day. They're like, "What the fuck's going on? There's something wrong here." They go into the sheriff's office. The guy's gone. The guy's either dead or he's gone. And the woman's disappeared completely.
Yeah.
And there's an arrow stuck in the wall.
Oh.
So they consult. They've got an American Indian guy who's, basically just in the town. He lives there and everything, and he's
chilling. He
has a look at the arrow and goes, "Okay." I'm gonna guess the girl's dead. And so he goes, and he's basically just my people don't talk to these people. Goes, because these guys are savages, basically. And he's just I would just assume they're dead. I wouldn't even worry about it.
Oh, okay.
But, the doctor can't accept that. He wants to go and find his wife. So him and, I think it's a group of 3.
Yeah.
4.
A group of people.
Yeah, a group of 4 of them. The sheriff.
Yeah.
The sort of wealthier guy in town who also has a crush, I think, on the girl, the doctor, and I think somebody else. I can't quite remember. But it's basically about their journey and across to where whoever these people are live. And there's all this stuff along the way, you find about the characters, I think the sheriff kind of feels responsible because of the position he put her in, in the cell. The wealthier guy has extreme prejudice against Native Americans because he fought a bunch of them in some sort of war setting in the past. It's not specific in how it happened, okay. But he's pissed, I think, because they murdered his family or something like that, and then he just wants to kill as many as he can. And then it goes on from there. The doctor's frustrated because he's got a broken leg and can't really.
Why did he go?
Yeah, exactly.
You're just
they just tell him to stay, and he's like, no. His broken leg is worse on the trip as well because, eventually their horses get stolen, I think. And there's all these other things that happen.
At this point, I just feel just leave me for dead. God damn it.
But the last half an hour of the film, the tone changes completely because it looks like it's one thing and then it just goes.
It's like, fuck now.
Goes in a really, really extreme direction very quickly. Because they think they're like, oh, we've found the place. It's like this hill, like rock formation thing.
Yeah.
And it's really well done because it's like it's so unexpected because they're all sitting in like it's like all quiet and they're talking about their approach and then suddenly like I think Kurt Russell gets shot in the hand by like one of the arrows and then like a rock comes out and like whacks one of them on the head and shit and then there's just these guys like covered in like mud and stuff like running at them and whatever and making this like horrendous noise. It's like inhuman noise.
Oh, okay.
And I think they shoot a couple of them. One of them dies like almost immediately and they find out that they've got like this like hole in their throat that they've cut themselves and like shoved this like bone thing inside so they make that noise. That's how they call each other and stuff and like but then what the doctor finds out, he cuts it out of one of their necks and he pulls it out and he starts blowing into it and it attracts them so he just knows that they're coming when he blows it so he can shoot them.
Are they humans or are they just...
They are people but they're like very specific like tribal cannibals basically.
Oh my God.
And they sort of end up in...
Wouldn't that turn septic if you shoved, like, a bone in there?
I don't know. We don't
that's
know how
not,
they do
like, physically possible. Just saying. I mean, if we're going to get medical here, that's not... Like, that would rot. You would get gangrene.
I don't know whether these people live a long time.
Fair enough.
But, yeah, they end up in their cave, and that's when the film... It's like, if you look up this film, that is the scene that's mentioned, is the bit at the end, and it's kind of a spoiler because it gets super graphic... Because they're like caged basically, and then because they eat people, so they just grab one of the guys. They basically strip him down, turn him upside down, hold his legs, and then just cut him in half down the middle, like just hack him and then pull him apart.
Wonderful.
And it's all shown like completely on screen, and it gets pretty graphic.
I wonder how they made a giant life-size... Oh, it's probably like gummy or something.
Whatever they did it really well because it looks very convincing.
Look, I'm like not that bad with... Like, I'm okay with gore. I actually enjoy watching like medical surgeries and all that. I'm really weird. But like seeing stuff like that, I'm just like... It's not the fact that they're hacking someone in half. It's the fact that would really hurt. Yeah. Oh, I'm cringing from the hurt.
But there's a lot of horrific imagery in the last...
30 minutes.
Like 30 minutes of the movie. And there's the fighting and the way that like they come at them and like their sound and everything, which is pretty horrible. And there's what they do to that guy. Then there's what they do to Kurt Russell. They take his... This is all spoilers, but they take his...
Do not say testicle right now.
No. His flask.
Oh, yeah.
They like put it on in the flames because they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
They just put it on the flames and they're like sitting there. Then one of them like cuts him open. Like really matter of fact, just like cuts him and he's like open. And then once it's like really hot, they pick it up and they shove it inside him. He's like burning. But eventually the doctor and the girl get out because he's not captured initially.
Yeah.
He's outside, like luring them. And he eventually gets inside and it's like he grabs the girl and he leaves. But as he's leaving, it's like the women in the tribe, you don't see them up until that point. And that's because they're basically like baby factories. Like inside, they don't have any legs or arms. And they've gouged their eyes out so they can't see, and they're just pregnant.
What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. It's like really messed up stuff like that, and then the film kind of leaves with them escaping.
So if you're born a woman...
In that tribe, you're cut up.
It's like the day you get your period is all the day your arms get cut off. But wouldn't you need legs to have babies? No, I guess not.
I don't know. They'd probably just eat him when they're done.
Why would you, like, be into, like, screwing a legless...
Hey, I don't know. But it's all about, like, almost like a completely alien thing that you don't understand.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point, because they think they're in for something else, and then it's not what they think it is. Because it's like either they're just going to go in and massacre them and they're, like, way more prepared than they thought, or... they're going to be able to talk to them or something like that. Like, and they meet other people on the road that they kill, pretty much. And it's a film better, like, when you watch it, it's better than explaining it, because explaining it's one thing, but, like...
It's like Mother.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, because, like, the part we were talking about, the eating the baby, it wasn't, like, that horrible. Like, I mean, it was horrible. It's not graphic. It's just like, It's
a horrible idea.
Yeah.
More than it is, like, a horrible imagery in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Wow. A good note to end on.
We have made it to an hour, basically.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty much it.
That is pretty much it. Wow.
I mean, next 2 weeks probably have the disaster artist to talk about.
Oh, I'm going to pee myself. Like, not literally, just, like, internally. That doesn't make sense. That's not what I meant. What other films are coming out? I did have it all written in my diary, but I'm not going to get my diary out because fuck that.
I don't even know what's coming out half the time.
Movies. Coming soon. Not Daddy's Home. Oh, Goodbye, Christopher Robin.
That might be good.
It does look pretty good. Ooh, Royal Ballet, Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, God.
I'm kind of into it. I'll watch that.
Oh, dear.
The Man Who Invented Christmas.
Well,
So it talks about, like, Charles Dickens writing...
Christmas Carol.
Yeah, writing a Christmas Carol. I don't know how I feel about that because I'm not really into Christmas films.
It's one of those things. It's going to be like that Goodbye, Christopher Robin. It's like, you know that book you read? Or wouldn't you like to know about the author?
Or what about, like, that Saving Mr. Banks?
Saving Mr. Banks, yeah. That sort of thing. Like True Story, but they Disney-fy it.
Ooh, Ferdinand. Fucker.
Ferdinand.
Yeah, the one with the bull.
Ferdinand the Bull.
Jedi. The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that's like 15th of December, though, isn't it?
14th.
14th.
Close. Oh, yeah, I'm only looking at this next week. Never mind. Yeah, I'd say the next one would be Goodbye, Christopher Robin. I've got Now Showing. I've got Coco.
Is that supposed to be good? I don't even know.
The Disney. It's very beautiful. It's a very wonderfully animated film. Oh, Carmen at the Royal Opera. Oprah.
You get a Carmen. You get a
Carmen.
Anyway, we'll sort it out.
50 Shades Free. Dude, we have to do a freaking 50 Shades of Grey podcast. We have to do it.
Oh, God.
You know? We have to. Like, I have not seen the second or... Well, I saw the first one, but I have not seen the second one, and I don't think... Look, I don't think we're going to go see it in the cinema.
I hope not.
I mean, might. Yeah, I'm going to make you go see it.
Oh, God.
We talked about this. I want to do all the bad films, because I think the worse the film, the funnier it is to talk about. There's Jumanji, I think, that is also coming.
Justice League.
Oh, yeah, shit, Justice League.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Justice League as well. Couldn't care less.
So, just to end on a really weird thing, so this new Pokemon film came out called I Choose You, and it's like, you know how you, like, with Ghost in the Shell, there was, like, the anime series, and then there's, like, the film and stuff.
Yep.
So it's, like, the same kind of concept. It's, like, a film that pretty much picks all the really good stuff from the whole series and makes a film out of it. Mm-hmm. And Pikachu talks.
What?
And it's fucking weird. Like, I want to show you this scene because it literally was, like, it kept me up at night.
Well, we'll finish the podcast here then.
No, I want to play it into the microphone.
Why would you do that?
No, he's literally like that scene where Ash is like, why won't you go into the Pokeball? And then Pikachu has this weird kid-like voice like, because I love being next to you. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Oh,
you know you're talking to me that scene about Carrie Fisher in, like, the final, like, Star Wars. That's the equivalent of how I felt terrified. I was like, I can't come back from this. Like, I've not seen, like, I legit admit haven't seen Pokemon in a while, but oh my God, I'm like, I cannot come back from this. Anyways, we'll stop the podcast.
Stop there.
And then I'm going to go show you the video.
Okay.
Bye.
I'll end it there.